Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a technology that's gearing up to be a huge part of our energy future, and that's hydrogen fuel cells. They're clean, they're efficient, and, they just might be the key to making our power grid stronger than ever. So let's get into it.
Now, to really get why fuel cells are so important, we first have to talk about the problem they're here to solve. Right now, our electrical system is getting hit from every direction. It's really a perfect storm of challenges, and it's threatening to leave us all in the dark. You can boil it down to this triple threat. First, our infrastructure is old, like way past its prime. Second, we're dealing with extreme weather that's getting more frequent and way more intense. And third, our demand for electricity is just skyrocketing thanks to everything from electric cars to AI. Any one of these would be a headache. All three together, that's a full-blown crisis. Okay, so let's dig into that first part. Just how fragile has our power grid actually become?
Think about this for a second. 70%. Most of our grid was designed and built for a world that doesn't exist anymore. A lot of this equipment is actually getting close to its 50-year limit. It's inefficient, it's unreliable, and it just was not built to handle 21st century power needs or our changing climate.
And here's the kicker. Even our solutions can cause new problems. Take California. They've got so much solar power, which is great, but it creates this massive glut of energy right in the middle of the day. Then, when the sun goes down and everyone gets home and turns on their lights, the power supply just tanks. This wild swing is called the duck curve, and it can actually make the grid unstable. Which really leads us to the billion-dollar question, right? With an old grid, crazy weather, and these new, tricky energy sources, how in the world do we build a system that can actually handle it all and just keep the lights on? Well, this is where fuel cells come into the story. They are an amazing tool that feels like it was tailor-made to solve the exact problems we've been talking about. So, what is a fuel cell, really? At its heart, it's a beautifully simple idea. It's a device that takes hydrogen and oxygen, and through a chemical reaction, not by burning anything, it creates electricity. And you know what the only byproducts are? Pure water and useful heat. That's it. No nasty emissions. People often ask, okay, so it's just a battery, right? Nope, not at all. And the difference is crucial. See, batteries store energy. They have a limited supply and then they're dead. You have to recharge them. Fuel cells generate energy right on the spot. As long as you keep giving them hydrogen, they'll keep making power, continuously. No recharging needed. The process itself is just, well, it's elegant. You feed hydrogen to one side, the anode. You let regular air, with its oxygen, hit the other side, the cathode. And inside, a neat little chemical process happens that generates an electrical current and spits out water. Simple ingredients, super clean results. And the advantages are just massive. They're incredibly efficient. We're talking up to 60% of the fuel's energy becomes electricity. From an environmental standpoint, they have zero harmful emissions. Zero. And just on a practical level, they're super quiet, they're tough enough to handle bad weather, and you can scale them for pretty much anything, from a single car to a whole data center. Now, of course, a fuel cell needs fuel. So let's talk about that fuel. Hydrogen, the most common element in the entire universe. But, and this is a really important point, not all hydrogen is the same. While using hydrogen in a fuel cell is perfectly clean, its true environmental footprint really depends on how we make it. And that brings us to the so-called colors of hydrogen. Right now, most of it is gray hydrogen. It's made from natural gas, but that process releases CO2. Then there's blue hydrogen, which is made the same way, but it captures that CO2. But the real prize, the ultimate goal, is green hydrogen. That's made by splitting water using renewable energy, like solar or wind. That method is 100% emission-free, from start to finish. So what about safety? It's a totally fair question, but hydrogen has some properties that, believe it or not, can make it safer than gasoline. It's about 14 times lighter than air, so if it leaks, it just shoots straight up at about 45 miles per hour and vanishes. Gasoline, on the other hand, is heavier than air. It pools on the ground, creating a huge fire risk. A hydrogen fire also gives off very little radiant heat, which means it's much less likely to set other things on fire. Okay, so we've got a clean generator and a clean fuel. Let's tie this all back to our braking grid and see how fuel cells can give us power right when we need it the most. The stakes here are just enormous. Look at that number, over $92 billion. That was the minimum cost of weather and climate disasters in the US for just 1 year. A huge chunk of that cost comes from power outages, from our grid failing when we need it most.
And it's not just about our homes. For our modern digital economy, constant power is non-negotiable. A 2022 survey found that almost half, 43%, of all major outages at data centers were caused by power problems. Fuel cells are a perfect backup to keep these incredibly critical hubs running no matter what.
And we're already seeing a huge shift happen. The market for what are called microgrids is expected to more than triple by 2033. This tells you that people and businesses, they aren't just sitting around waiting for the main grid to get better. They're building their own local, resilient power systems, and fuel cells are becoming a key part of that strategy.
All right, let's zoom out and wrap this up by looking at the bigger picture. We'll look at the market and the role hydrogen fuel cells are going to play in changing our whole energy landscape.
The numbers really do speak for themselves here. The global market is projected to nearly quadruple by 2032. And the US market alone, it's on track to be worth almost $10 billion. So this isn't some niche science project anymore. This is a booming industry with serious money behind it. I think this quote from one of our sources really sums it all up perfectly. Hydrogen isn't just one single solution, it's a bridge technology. It helps stabilize the grid as we add more renewables like solar and wind, and it helps clean up our existing systems. It's literally the bridge from our fossil fuel past to a zero-emission future. So, in the end, the technology to build a cleaner, more reliable, and just plain tougher energy system is already here. Fuel cells give us a really clear path forward. The only real question left is the one you see right here. Are we ready to build that bridge? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.